Welcome to this edition of the Stories to Tell podcast. This week's special guest is Andres Trujillo. Andres is an inspiring person who cares deeply about community and his family. In this episode, we learn more about how Andres starts a professional sports franchise, who he finds inspirational in his life, and at the end, we hear about a really funny, most embarrassing moment. We kick things off with Andres telling stories about what it's like being a new father.
I have two babies. One that's 2, Ezekiel's is 2 years old, and Lucas is 8 months old.
Oh, brand new, man.
Brand new.
So what's that been like, being a new daddy?
Fatherhood. Oh, man, so it's funny because I'm 37 years old, and so obviously my wife and I waited to have kids for a reason. We kind of wanted to live our lives, do our thing, right? I mean, I think that's important, right? Being
Definitely.
able to plan for your life and not rush into anything. And, of course, we've been married for, I believe, 15 years now.
Right
going on 15 years in May.
Congrats.
And so thank you. So being able to do that and plan. But fatherhood's great, man. I have 2 boys. So I grew up with 4 sisters. So lots of estrogen in the house. When I was growing up, now I'm like, I got testosterone in the house. I'm excited. Like, this is cool. I can do manly things. The things the men do. Us men are doing things. So that's really cool. So, it's been great. I got to tell you, Ezekiel, he's my firstborn, and that kid is such an independent kid. It's fun to watch how he operates. He is very independent in respect. You show him once, he's going to do it on his own. He's not one of those like, oh, here, let me show you again. Nope. Dad, no. And he wants to do it.
Yeah.
So it is very cool to watch the dynamic of his growth and development. And then Lucas is kind of a little bit of opposite, still independent, but more clingy, wants to be cuddled, wants to be held by, whether it's myself or mama or anything like that. But man, it's a blessing and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Have you had any, they always say becoming a parent will change your life. Have you had these, or just becoming a parent too? You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was part of this deal.
Oh yeah. One thing that I've learned is that time speeds up with kids, especially with babies. And what I mean by that is it takes me forever to get out of the house. I'm not kidding. Doesn't matter what it is. It's hard to, and I work from home and I do all my stuff from home. And it's so difficult to get out of the house. So you make a plan thinking, it'll take me 15 minutes, get the bag ready, make sure the kids are changed, dressed, ready to go, all that cool stuff. Nope, that turns into about an hour later. Never fails. And I can plan for all day long. Okay, well, let me give myself 45 minutes to kind of plan for this. No, then it turns into an hour and a half later. Whether it's Ezekiel running off, not wanting to get his shoes on. Get over here, Ezekiel. We gotta go, bro. We gotta go. The kid just was, they definitely take a little bit of time in your life, and you have to learn that balance. And in reality, there is really no consistency when it comes to that. All it is like whenever you can get the kids ready to go. And to be truthful, before I came here to this podcast with you, I was struggling to get the kids out the door so I could drop them off at my mom's so I could come here to this podcast. And so I'm like, Mark, it's going to take me a little bit longer to get there. I apologize. But definitely, that's probably my biggest learning experience is trying to figure out time management.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been just impressed by, it makes me smile just to see you, like you posted up this week on going to the WWE right at the center, and you had Ezekiel with you and is in your lap, and you just almost had the most identical smile, like, wow, we're in this thing. Were you going home doing the people's elbow or something?
Oh yeah, we were wrestling around, and I figured it'd be a cool time to take him. We kind of do the fun stuff on the bed. I pick him up, do body slams with him, stuff like that. And of course, I ended up, I was like, hey, let's take him to this. I think he'd like it. And sure enough, he loved it. He thought it was the coolest thing. He was cheering. He was clapping when people were making noise. He loved it. So it was cool. It was a great experience to do something with just me and him. And of course, when Lucas gets older, he'll be able to join us. And it is just so unique to have that bond. And I don't think people realize it until years later, that you had such an incredible experience and memory with your kids. And I've been working really hard to make sure I cherish every moment. Doesn't matter if it's a bad moment. Doesn't matter if they make a mess. I mean, to the point of, here's the funny story with Ezekiel. Kind of gross, but I think everything, gross things happen with babies. It's fatherhood. Yeah. So I'm laying there. It's actually kind of a two-parter, but I'm laying there on the couch, and Ezekiel comes up to me and he goes, "Uh-oh," and I'm like, "What happened?" He goes, "Owie," and I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" And he's holding something, and I thought maybe he stepped on a goat head, because sometimes the dogs will bring the goat heads in, and you step on them. You'll usually bring it, and so I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong?" He's holding this in his hand, and I thought he stepped on his foot. Okay, well, and I said, "Well, let me put it in my hand," and so he goes to put it in my hand, and I look at it, and it looks like a rock, and I'm like, "What?" And then so I pull it closer, and then I get a whiff of it. It was a poop nugget. It was disgusting. I was like, "Oh my God, that's so gross." He had a poop nugget in his hand, and what I think it was the dogs tracked it in, and then he stepped on it, and then picked it up, and then gave it to me. Oh, that was so.
Gosh, man.
I kid you not, I was gagging. I was like, "That's gross, Ezekiel. That's so gross."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
No, I swear, if parents had like a get together on Saturdays, like for coffee or whatever, and there was an agenda item like, let's get together and go over some items. Their poop would probably be in one of the categories,
It'd be a top category.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then just recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I'm in the shower, and then I'm about ready to get out. And then all of a sudden, Ezekiel comes in and he goes, "Uh-oh." And I said, "Whoa, okay, what's going on?" Uh-oh, right? And we all know that something's up. So he comes up, I open the shower curtain, and he's like this with his hands. And his hands are all brown and orange. And I'm like, "Did you get into some paint or something like that?" And then literally you could tell the way his stance was, he dug into the back of his diaper and it was poop on his hands. It was disgusting. I was like, "Ezekiel, that's gross." Oh my God. Talk about gagging again. But luckily, the benefit of that, I was in the shower still. So
there you go. Just grab him.
Yeah, I took his diaper off, and changed him changed out of his shirt, and just got him, naked, and just threw him in the shower with me, washed him out. I was like, talk about
that's
gross.
Parenting, man. That's parenting right there.
Parenthood indeed.
That's reaction. That's shower time. Oh my God.
So I guess the benefit is he was right there. I was still in the shower, so we were able to make it work. And yeah, that was gross. That was so gross, man. Yeah. Parenthood.
In this story, we find out more about how Andres' career path and his absolute passion for sports and media led him to an amazing, exciting opportunity to start and own a professional sports team. For those of you who don't know, Andres, and let me get the titles quite right, certainly the founder, primary owner of the New Mexico Runners, right?
Yeah, the owner.
The professional indoor soccer team that happens to play in the arena in Rio Rancho.
Yes, sir.
And for those of you who haven't gone, this experience is so fun. It is so family friendly. And the time and attention that's put into putting on a show is so evident that you're just going to have a blast there. And you can see it. Andres, we've known each other for years, right? And one of the things I've always been so impressed by, your heart is giant. You're so kind to people. You're so inspiring to people. It's always a kind word. It's always, how can you help? I was just curious about this new, and I know it's been 5 years, but it still feels kind of relatively new. Mm-hmm. It's something different to kind of own a professional sports team. Yeah. Where did all that passion come from? What was behind that? What keeps you going with that team?
Yeah. So being a sports entrepreneur, I kind of just took a dive into it. It wasn't a plan of mine ever growing up or anything like that. I've always been a sports guy. Like, I've always loved sports. And of course, as a young boy, you kind of always dream, it doesn't matter what sport it is, but you always dream that you want to be a professional athlete. Of course, I wasn't blessed with professional athlete skills or size, stature, physique. That just wasn't in the cards. But I of course I worked in with ESPN Radio.
That's right.
101.7 The Team, and of course you guys were guests on my show and multiple times and things like that back in the day. But working in sports was great, and of course growing up, originally I wanted to be a firefighter, and then as I got older, I wanted to be an arson investigator because of the fact that I'm like, okay, well, and of course that's more sciencey and things like that. I love science and psychology and things like that. So when I was a kid, I used to watch Rescue 911. I don't know if you ever remember that show. I think it was every Tuesday night. Rescue 911 came on. Loved it. My mom and I and us as a family would watch that. But so really the firefighting was kind of on my radar. That's what I wanted to do. And as I got older, I kind of started falling into media. And of course, like in 2006, I got my first taste of media with Radio Disney. I auditioned to work for Radio Disney, and I was auditioning to be part of the dance group. And of course, I did some hip hop dancing and stuff like that.
Oh, so that's right.
Yeah. So then I got hired on, and then ended up just kind of falling in love with media. So my direction of with the firefighting or arson investigation kind of shifted. Yeah. And I just wanted to do something that was in media. I loved it. I loved being able to broadcast. I'm like, I love this idea that you can do something and say things and be an influence to lots of people by doing this one thing. So I loved being in broadcasting, but I love sports as well. So it kind of married the two together. And this was cool. Like, I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Now what else can I do? What else can I do on the next level to elevate? And elevate myself into making a bigger impact. And then, of course, sports. How can I involve myself in sports teams locally? And of course, during this time, I was working and helping out with high school sports broadcasts and things like that. And then had an opportunity to invest in a local soccer team called the Albuquerque Soul, and I invested in those. And they played over at St. Pius High School and lower level development soccer team. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Investing in that.
Oh, so that's kind of got the fires burning a little bit.
Yeah. So I said, opportunity, right? So I'm like, okay, let me get it. Well, I invested some money, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to do more. Like, how can I be on the physically engaging side of it? Like, I want to be hands-on. So then, of course, we remember the New Mexico Stars, the indoor professional arena football team that played at the Santa Ana Star Center at the time. And invested in that as well. So started a little bit more hands-on and whatnot. So obviously getting involved with these things, I'm like, this is cool. Like I can get to the next level. I can really make an impact. Hands-on experience, learning things. And then of course, started the Duke City Gladiators professional arena football team. We started that in 2015, and me and two others. And so we did that. That was where I was really hands-on. I was director of media relations.
That's right.
Being a co-founder, co-owner. And from there, just, I loved it. Being involved like that on a high level, like involved, was awesome. I mean, talk about rolling up your sleeves. That's really what that was. And then over time, I think it was at the end of the 2017 season, it just kind of grew to the point where we had too many owners. It just wasn't working out. I mean, I wasn't seeing a dividend. There was nothing being paid out. I was just spending more money and just spending more time and energy, not getting anything back. Yeah. And so I was kind of like cashed out at that time, where I was just like, I don't want to do sports anymore. Like, I need to take a break. Oh. And yeah, that was at the end of May of 2017, June of 2017. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm too tired. Like, this isn't right. And then in 2017, I got an idea like in September, October, November of, well, what if I did something that was mine? That was me, myself, and my family. Yeah. So then that's when I thought, okay, arena soccer. It's never been done on a high level here. Who else has done it in history? Well, they've been a little bit of indoor soccer have been around, but they played in rec facilities like Blades. Do you remember? I don't know, Blades in Rio Rancho. Yeah, definitely a rec center. Yeah, and then that was really it. So then that's when in December 2017, I decided, okay, I'm going to apply for the market with the Major Arena Soccer League. Wow. They need a market in the Albuquerque Rio Rancho area because it bridges the gap from El Paso, Phoenix, Denver, all the above. Let's see what this looks like. I ended up investing in that and putting in my applying for that, investing, and I eventually bought the market. I got awarded the market. They, of course, and the Major League Soccer League, they do an extensive background research. They need to look and see what your experience is. How many, have you run teams before? Have you owned teams? What have you done? I mean, they go through.
So you had some good background to give them, man.
Exactly. So I was able to do that. And then, of course, being awarded the franchise in April of 2018, we were set out to start in December 2018. And, of course, we had our press conference to announce our team in June of 2018. And then what does it say? That's all history from here. We're 5 years later. We're in season 5, and the New Mexico Runners is still rocking and rolling.
I remember one of the first things that you told me. I remember it to this day, that when you were first getting started on this, you weren't really talking about it as like your individual thing or like what you were hoping to accomplish for it. What you put first, and I thought this was amazing, was that you were about Rio Rancho. You were about our community. You were wanting to bring something of value, something of fun to the community. And I thought, man, that is a great perspective to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I definitely give props to Rio Rancho. I think Rio Rancho is a great place. I think there's so much potential for Rio Rancho. People here are very community oriented. And so when they buy into something, they get together as a community, and they really, and Rio Rancho has so much growth opportunity, whether it's physical growth of, homes, business, economics, whatever it may be. Sports is an opportunity here. And I know a lot of teams have come and gone. The Scorpions have come and gone. The Thunderbirds have come and gone. The Mustangs have come and gone. I mean, there's so many different sports teams that have come and gone. Well, with the Runners, I'm like, okay, if we are officially business licensed in Rio Rancho, we are giving back directly to Rio Rancho. Because now what this does, this actually inspires. Sports teams inspires people in the community. And that was my philosophy from the beginning. Yeah. If I do this here in Rio Rancho, let's get Rio Rancho to buy into this. This is going to be big, because what's going to happen is that all these people are going to see an inspiration to invest other things, other businesses. But now we have a sports team to get behind. This raises the quality of life. Doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, what side of the political aisle you're on. The common denominator is we have a local sports team that's ours. Yeah. And since 2018, we've always had that, and we continue that to this day.
In this story, Andres talks about where he finds inspiration in his life and how it propels him forward each and every day.
Is there someone in your life that you look to that's kind of a big influence to you in your life, and who is that and why?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because I don't think it's a specific person. I think it's more of a group of people, several people. Definitely my mom has been a big influence in my life, right? She's always been about working hard, nonstop, making sure that you don't quit, and making sure that you give back to the community in every way. And she's raised us we grew up very, very poor. And it was, my stepdad came in, who is my dad, Conrad. I mean, he really is my dad. I mean, at the end of the day. And so with the both of them kind of working hard to make sure that we were taken care of, that's inspirational to me, because then I take that and carry that on to my kids, and being able to take care of my kids and making sure they are set for life, and they have ingrained into their DNA, into their who they are, to work hard, to give back, to make things positive for our community, do whatever they can, give their hearts to the community, because when you do that, you let your light shine. And by doing that, I mean, and I think you've heard this quote, by you letting your light shine, you're unconsciously giving other people permission to let their light shine. Yeah. Now, when I do what I do,
love that, man.
The goal is to inspire others. And if I can inspire others to take that dive, take that leap, then this community actually has innovators. This breeds innovators, because now they say, okay, I can do that too. And really, let's take a bigger perspective, is nobody thought we could go to the moon until we did, right? So the same concept applies here. nobody thinks that a local person came up from poverty, came up from being poor to owning and running a professional sports team in a national league. Well, shoot, I can do that too. Now I can do this. This is cool. I have inspiration. That means I can accomplish this because this guy did. I want to be able to inspire others. So
there's probably a kid in the stands, and that's probably been to every single one of these games, and his eyes are just wide open and looking and dreaming.
Yeah,
because of something you started,
and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
We want to really open up this idea and really create dreamers. I think as kids we used to dream. What do we want to be when we grow up, right? And I think over time, just because of social media and just the craziness of life has just clouded our vision, we kind of have forgotten how to dream. And so for us, if we can do that, and if I can say, hey, this is what we're doing, and people can see it and it's tangible, right? You go to a game, it's there, then that's important. Of course, my kids, my boys inspire me. I want to build a legacy. That is one of the things I think, as Hispanics, we don't do a good job of that. And I want to be able to build this legacy that my boys grow into and go, hey, my dad did this. My family did this. This is what we're carrying on. And that's an important element, and especially in New Mexico. We don't have legacies are far and few between. And I see that and I recognize that. And I want to be able to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm building the roadmap. This is how we do it. And my boys, I want them as they grow and they grow into this to carry on that concept.
That's awesome, man. And you had me fired up. I was like, ready to go. Where are we going? Andres, tell me where we're going. Yeah, but I think I mentioned it right away at the start of this. When Susan and I first met you, and we've known you for all these years, and you live it. You live it with your heart. You live it with your smile. Every interaction we've ever had with you, it's nothing but how can I help? What can I do? And we really appreciate that about you, man.
Thank you.
You live it out each and every day. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Embarrassing moments, we have all had them. And in our final story, Andres relates a most embarrassing moment that recently happened to him.
This was pretty recent. Of course, I went to city council meeting last Tuesday. And of course, I went to the city council for public comment to promote the New Mexico runners, to talk with the city councilors, to get them to really give the runners more support from the city of Rio Rancho's perspective. And so, of course, I didn't know this until I got home. But when I got home, and of course, when you go to city council and you do public comment, you got a podium, so people are sitting behind you. A lot of people are behind you and stuff like that. So, and they can see your whole backside. I got home and I was folding my pants and I go, what the heck? I look, there was a big old hole the size of a softball on the seam of my back of my pants. So I obviously went up there and did my public comment and had a big old hole in my pants in front of the public. That was talk about embarrassing after the fact.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I'm glad I didn't know before.
Right,
during. I'm okay with that. But coming home and seeing that, I was just embarrassed. I'm like, oh my god! Everybody saw my underwear and there's this. Now, granted, they were dark blue pants and I was wearing black underwear, just for the record. But so you probably couldn't see much, but it was still, there was a hole there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man!
I'm
sorry you went through that. But that's a good example of one of which, do you go say something or do you not say something?
I mean, me personally, I would tell somebody because that's who I am. I'm like, hey, bro, do you need a jacket? But you have to hold your pants. Right. Here's a jacket, put it around it. Or do you have a jacket? We can tie that around your waist.
Right.
But it's commonplace for me, though. Like, I rip pants a lot. I remember, I was at a funeral back in, I think 2012 or 2010, 2011. And of course, I had black pants on, and I squatted down to pick up my niece, and sure enough, my pants ripped. I was in the middle of county line. We were at a restaurant, with a bunch of people there. So of course, I left quickly that time. So I ripped pants quite a bit. I don't know why.
Have some spares in the car.
Oh no,
man.
no kidding, kidding. Yeah. So now I have shorts in the car just in case something like that happens. But yeah. So those have been pretty embarrassing moments.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Stories to Tell. Be sure to follow as new episodes come out every couple of weeks. And if you have a unique story to tell, please reach out. It would be a pleasure to connect with you. All the best.